behind, but all my trees are blooming. I've got red and white flowers at the back, so it's lovely.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, we still had snow a couple of days ago, and so that is Calgary is what we say, right? Is
I know.
the things that happen here. And I'm having my chai. I love having chai conversations. This is what I say. So it's wonderful that I'm here with you. Actually, this is the first time we've ever spoken on a video chat.
Yes. I think we've spoken online, well, on the phone more, but
yes,
like I said, this is our new normal. We have to stop this social distancing and, just keep with the physical distancing.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
And the thing about this is that lots of times people say that, we have to stop that connection piece. But what happens is when we do that, there is even more trauma that's happening. There's even more the depression and fear and anxiety, it all builds. So this is excellent that we are doing this. So we are at 12 right now. We do have 4 people online. We have 2 hearts that are showing up. Thank you. I will just go ahead and now introduce Shaheen. So I actually connected with Shaheen because I got her name to be one of our facilitators for a Living Life to the Full, which is the workshops that is run by the Health Board. And I used to be the manager for the program, and it was excellent that I got to connect and find out a lot about her in that time. I remember our first call, you were telling me about your journey into this. And even when you sent me your bio, you tell me of how you've gone into this journey of providing mindfulness. So you're a mom of 2 daughters.
Yeah.
You are a parentpreneur. You have a practice, which is the Mindful Changes practice, which is in BC. And you have been providing not only these mindful practice, but you're also working together with, now who is this over here? You can even share it. It's the Chicken Soup for the Soul, Jet Canfield.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that. How did you get into that? What were some of the things that you did to take that program?
Yeah, so with Jack's work, I was really intrigued by his work because he works really with the soul and success principles, becoming successful in life, but through the soul's journey. So I started that as a stepping stone after I finished my coaching certification, and then from there I moved on to mindfulness and meditation. I did a lot of research on what helps. As you said, I'm a mom of 2 daughters, and I was looking for tools to really build resilience, build grit, build this feeling of fail sometimes. We just pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and move on with this sense of honoring ourselves. Mm-hmm. So I went into the mindfulness journey. When I started doing the research, I realized that I'd had this in my toolbox for a very long time, the meditation piece, the mindfulness piece. And the more research I did, the more I just stepped right into it. And people started coming up to me and saying, can you talk to me? Can you coach me? And so I ended up becoming a coach for parents, teachers, kids and teens suffering from anxiety and depression. And then I also do speaking workshops. And I just, before all this ended, I just finished one at the BC College of Physicians and Surgeons and at the local banks, So yeah, it's been a journey, but it's been a beautiful, soulful journey.
Oh, that's marvelous. So when we were talking, you were explaining some of the things that we're doing, and this was a couple of years ago. Ever since then, you were recruited to be a volunteer for the cognitive behavior therapy workshops. Now, the workshops we get trained through Canadian Mental Health Association in BC, and these are delivered as volunteers throughout the community. And we have these sessions going on from everywhere from BC all the way to Ottawa right now. I've seen your reviews, excellent reviews. Bravo, congratulations on creating those, creating a toolbox for individuals who are experiencing anxiety and things like that that are going on. And now more so prevalent because of what's happening in the worldwide pandemic. And I find that when social media is the way we're connecting these days, before we were saying that, this is not the right way to connect and all of those. But as you said, when we started, this is the new normal. The thing about social media is, yes, it can be great. And yes, there are pieces over there that are really harmful that are going on. And what I mean by that is when we focus on fear, it grows. Whatever we focus on, wherever we put our energies, I'm saying that this is going to cause even more problems, and that's why I wanted to bring you in. Now, I love being authentic and vulnerable. I love sharing my story, and so I have been through, lots of trauma in my past. I've had PTSD, and I'm undergoing the journey, and I too deliver Living Life to the Full, which is a cognitive behavior therapy program, 8-week program, and I revert back to the tools. However, when these type of things come and there is fear that is going on, I found that those tools that I have fallen away. What do you say for anybody who is experiencing this?
Yeah, so that's very normal. It's very, very normal. Whenever we have our tools, so I would compare it to, for example, you're working out on a daily basis, you're a marathon runner, and you're doing all the things, and then a crisis happens. You break an ankle, twist your ankle, and you can't do it anymore. The wind gets knocked out of your sails, right? That's when we know that we do have our mindfulness muscle. We do have that running or the workout muscles that we've trained for all those years or all those days beforehand, all those weeks of training. Those don't go to waste. So your mindfulness muscles never go to waste. It's like on a daily basis, we're doing our daily living mindfulness and we're doing our formal sitting practice, our meditation practice. And when we do this, we're building our inner resources. It's like having a well of water. Then when crisis happens, we go to that well. If it's empty, there's nothing to take out of it. But if it's full on a daily basis while putting in by doing our mindfulness work, we have something to go to, right? So when things like this happen, trauma happens, crisis happens, and our thoughts are going crazy and we're ruminating about the past and we're anxious about the future, and we get into this form of depression or sadness, or just really feeling like, I don't know where I'm going to be, right? You come back to the moment. Because you've been building those mindful muscles, you've got those mindfulness tools with you. So just getting those muscles that were at the top of mind and coming back to the moment with intention and attention.
And so I will also say this, that I've been on quite a journey. Back in 2010, I used to be over 380 pounds. I've lost over 220 pounds.
Oh, bravo.
Was through, and it wasn't instantaneous. Like some people say, oh, wow, that was fast. But if I look back, it's like climbing a mountain and you come across the screech or the gravel patch and you're trying to scramble and you fall down. And in the past, I used to always say, oh, look, you failed. And it was also that negative scripting, that what I used to hear from outside, from people I trusted, or the ones that were inside my mind, and they would get even louder.
Mm.
The thing about this is that when I started doing working outs, and people say, "Did you diet?" And I don't like that word because I say it's a die with a T. When I say it was a lifestyle change,
Mm-hmm.
it's taking one micro step in front of other, and understanding that all the time I'm not going to be able to do these things. And bravo, you had the intention. So with this that is happening, I'm feeling like I'm in a mud, like in sinking mud, and I was not able to go outside until in the evening. I said, "Okay, put on your shoes," and I put on my shoes. And the thing that really helps is that I got so lucky that my wife had bought me these. Now, these have been a saving grace. These are wireless headphones. And I don't know about you, but I don't know if you know this, I love to dance. So
Yes.
a few days ago, it was super cold. It was in the daytime, actually, was walking, and I found this thing on Mixcloud, and it is one of the DJs I like, is DJ Scoop, and he liked one of the podcasts that was happening, and it was Mind Over Music, I believe that is
Mm.
Radio Azad, and it has Salim Suleiman, and we know who these
Yeah.
singers are, and we have a quite a the feelings come quite higher up, but it was a dance mix. And as I was walking on the grass. It was crunchy with the snow because the path was sometimes icy, and I'm afraid to fall. And the lights had gone, and so I was, there was a cop directing traffic. I was dance walking, and I was on top of the world. So when you talk about we have this muscle that we create, it's like understanding that when you're in your sink mud, that you will still find that you are able to go back to it and not be hard on yourself. Give yourself a break, and understand that what would you tell your best friend? You wouldn't say these things. So thank you so much for explaining about that. So what I'd like to do right now is that, yes, you're able to transform and get us all re-energized, but what exactly is mindfulness?
So let me just talk a little bit about what you experienced there when you were out in the park
Yeah,
and dance walking, right?
thank
So
you.
one of the things that we have in our body is called vagus nerve, and it goes right from the back of your limbic system, the back of your brain, right down your spinal cord, all the way down into your organs. And it's called vagus, the Latin word for wandering. And it
Okay.
just permeates throughout your body. And
Yes.
when you activate your vagus nerve, and for those of you watching, look it up, Google it, you activate your prefrontal cortex, and it calms. Your prefrontal cortex is that part of your brain that calms things down. The fight flight is at the back, fight, flight, and freeze.
Ah,
And we are hardwired for the negative thinking, right? Anytime somebody says something negative to us, saying, "Oh, you know what? How could you possibly?" Our inner critic starts talking. That
yes.
we're hardwired for that, right? So we
Ah,
have a negative bias because we have to be vigilant, right?
yes. Yes.
But we don't need to be afraid of tigers anymore. So what we do is anything negative that comes our way, it sticks to us like Velcro.
Ah,
Anything positive that comes to us, it's off us like Teflon, right? Somebody says, "Oh, you
ah,
look lovely, Elner." And you're like, "Oh, yeah." And then move on. But if somebody says, "Elner, I didn't like the way you did that," that's going to stick, right? One of our mindfulness muscles is
yes.
to say, "Is this true?
Yes.
Is
Yes.
this true?" Right? And
So
honoring yourself.
we need to keep that in focus and say, is this true? I love that. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So you asked me a question, mindfulness, what
Yes.
exactly is
Yes.
it? So mindfulness is really, and it's kind of like a buzzword, right? It's
Mhm. It is.
everything is mindful now, right? But the idea is to the definition of mindfulness is simply being aware. And then you add on the second piece, being aware of this moment. And then the third piece, without judgment. You know that inner critic that goes on in our brain? Without judgment, right?
So
and
loud.
then the fourth piece is with kindness. So if you're experiencing a sense of despair or sadness, or if you're angry at yourself for, not doing whatever, or not losing that extra 10 pounds, it's being aware, this is where I'm at, without judgment. I can take this feeling in, feel it, know where I'm feeling it in my body, and treat it with kindness.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. So with that, if I practice mindfulness on a regular basis, what changes would it bring? What changes would I notice?
Yeah. So what you'll start when I teach my mindfulness courses, what we notice is over a period of time, the people who live with people who practice mindfulness, what they realize is, things are getting a little bit calmer, right? You're not as reactionary, right? And so, for example, there's this quote by Viktor Frankl. He wrote the book Man's Search for Meaning, a really small book. If you can pick it up, pick it up. And he says, between stimulus and response, there is a space. And I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but within that space, there is a freedom. So we create that sacred pause. If somebody comes up to you and says, Eleanor, why did you do this? And you're like, right away, your fight flight system goes into action. With mindfulness, what you'll notice is you're able to take that sacred pause.
Okay.
That breath, because your breath is your home, it's always with you. You take that breath and then you respond with kindness.
I love that.
Yeah? Does that make sense?
That does make sense. It all ties in together, right? We have some people that are watching that are really loving what you're saying. We have
Hello.
Africa even, and Edmonton and BC, and
lovely.
We have lots of comments that are coming up. Robert loves that I dance walk. Folks, please ask questions as well. But what I'd like to do, Robert has even said he loves coming on the sacred pause.
Yeah.
So with all of this that's going on, it's to know that, yes, you can go back to that. And are there times when, as I said, like I felt I was in a sink mud and I could not move?
Yeah. So you couldn't move. Sometimes what happens, and it happens to all of us, sometimes what happens is our thoughts get just so erratic, crazy, right?
Okay.
And we freeze. There's a fellow I listen to, Dr. Joe Dispenza, you might have heard of him, and he says, thoughts are the language of the mind, and feelings are the language of the body. What we try and do is come back to the body, always come back to the body. Our body will never lie to us. Our mind, our thoughts aren't always facts, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So, but our body will never lie to us. So coming back to the feelings in the body, really settling in. That's why you were able to get over that hump by dance walking, right? Because you brought that feeling into your body.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Walking, I'm like, you know what? I don't care, because I was on, like, I was in my element.
Hallelujah, right? It's like, yes, this is where I need to be.
Doing Bollywood and doing some Arabic and doing salsa while I'm walking. And the thing is, I love this hashtag, my hips don't lie. So
that's right. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
We have Robert saying our body never lie to us. I love that. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So what I'd like to ask you now, is mindfulness the same as meditation?
Yeah. So this idea of mindfulness is, there's many forms of meditation. One of them is mindfulness of different ways, right? Daily living mindfulness, and then you have your formal sitting practice, right?
Yes.
The formal concentration practice.
Mhm.
Now, so meditation isn't just about sitting on your cushion for
Okay.
20 minutes or an hour a day, right? And then not doing anything for the rest of the day. So the idea is that your daily living mindfulness, mindful walking, mindful communication, mindful listening, mindfulness of the body, mindfulness of our emotions,
Yes.
all of these scaffold our concentration practice.
Mm.
So, when people come to me
Yeah.
and they say, can you teach me about meditation? And they'll say, my thoughts are going all over the place. Well, what I say to them is, try during the day to practice mindful living, mindful eating, taking that pause, really, if you're washing dishes, bringing it really down slowly, right?
Mhm.
And then noticing your thoughts, noticing your feelings, labeling, and moving forward. Right?
Wow.
And that practice, your daily living practice, will scaffold your concentration practice. So you are able to sit with concentration. Right?
Love that. So you've really given us an idea. What I would love if you could please walk us through a practice and how we can incorporate this, in our daily lives. Is everybody ready for this? If you are, then smash that love button there for,
Yes.
and let us give her some love. So, what do we need to do to? You can walk us through right now. I'm just tell me
Yeah.
what to do.
Oh, here's a question here. I find, since I have not been able to be mindful. Yes, time is always the issue, right? So, what I ask people to do is, in your daily living practice, take 90 seconds. That's all it takes. Research shows that
Wow.
it takes 90 seconds for a feeling of anger or sadness or depression to hit its peak and fall away. As long as you're not telling stories about it, you're not calling your friend, your sister, your mother, your brother, saying, oh my God, I'm so depressed, this is what happened, right? So if you're not going to tell a story about it, just allow that emotion to be there, feel it, and let it go. Now, one of the a mindful practice that I use all the time, is this coming to our senses practice.
Mm.
It's this practice of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And basically, it takes about 90 seconds. And my clients tell me, when they come back, they said, Shaheen, I tried that coming to your senses practice, and it worked. My mom was saying this to me, and I tried it, and it worked. I was experiencing a huge sense of grief over somebody I've lost. I've used this practice, and it worked. And I can tell you, I've personally used it. As I'm driving, that intense grief hits you. You grab onto the steering wheel, and then you take a deep pause. And while you're driving, you don't close your eyes, of course, but you notice and label 5 things you see. So
Mhm.
right now, I see the trees outside. I see the color of my chair. And between each one, you would take a deep breath.
Okay.
So we could try that. So 5 things we see.
Mhm.
Notice, take a breath. 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 And then 4 things that you feel. It could be your hair, it could be the back of your hand, the smoothness of your nail, the around the circle of your watch. 4 things we feel.
Okay.
3 things we hear. And between each one, we take that pause. And then 2 things that we might smell. So you could, the hand cream, hand sanitizer, your chai. Yes, your chai, right? Taking a deep breath. And 1 thing we taste. Your chai, chocolate, coffee in my case, right? Lip gloss. So that's coming to your senses, your 5 senses. What we're doing is coming into our body, takes us away from the thoughts in our minds. Does that make sense? It brings us back into the present moment. And so I saw a question there. Is mindfulness, I think it said, is mindfulness the same as staying in the present time? Yes, in this moment, right now. This moment is the next moment. Right now, in this moment, everything is okay. I have my breath. I'm breathing. I honor myself. I honor this moment without judgment and with kindness.
You know, as you were going through that, I felt a sense of calmness. I felt, even this morning, I had something that erupted. And it was, yes, end of January, there was there was somebody who was very abusive. And what I did was, it finally hit that chord when what Eleanor Roosevelt had said, is that no one can make you feel inferior without your consent.
Right.
And at that time, I thought, you know what, that can't be real. But then I said, wow, that, it really does make sense, is that I can step away. And the next day I'd shared this image of matches, side by side. And the ones on the left had burned, the one in the middle had stepped away.
I'd seen that, yes.
And the ones on the right were not burned. So just step back and take that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 that you just went through.
Yes. And there's with, you mentioned social media and how can we converse in this time, right? When so many people are out there. And I have to say, I love Byron Katie's work, Loving What Is. And what she says is, before mindful communication, I've kind of extracted it into a mindful communication piece, which I teach to children all the time. I'm running some workshops on Tuesdays for mindfulness for kids, 6 to 8-year-olds and 9 to 11-year-olds. But what I tell them is, before you speak, is it kind? Is it true? Is it helpful? Those 3 things will sometimes give us that sacred pause to say, it's probably better I don't say it. It might be true, but it might not be kind.
Yeah. We actually have this in our dining room, and it's the think one.
Yes.
Well, is it helpful? Is it, what's the I now? Oh my. The N is, it is necessary.
Is it necessary? And
is it kind? And the I is
important? No.
Important. Is it insightful? Is it, I'll have to come back to it.
Yes. You'll have to post it on Facebook.
Yes. Now, there's one thing that when you were talking about, Alexandria, sorry, I know her, I call her my Tao sister. She said, thank you.
Oh.
At the 3 gates, is it kind? Is it true? Is it helpful? Yes, that's right.
I love the gates. I love it.
Yeah. And where I was going with this is that you talked about that scaffolding, right? And what it is that when we're going through these, we have to know that are we building on our own toolkits? Are we doing things that are going to be helpful for us to be able to do these things? So looking after self and going through and seeking a counselor or psychiatrist, all of those medical help, because there's still a tons of stigma with mental illness. And I know in my faith, like in our faith, for example, we have this that, well, you just pray and it'll go away, where we're not seeing there's so much that's going on behind the scenes and how hard it is for people. So as I've shared my journey, I talk about the scaffolding piece. And with the scaffolding piece, once you work on it, you're not as reactive, right? And so there is this, I forget who she is, and she's got the 4 animals, and it's perfect for young children. It's got the barking dog. It's got the kind and empathetic elephant. It's got the wise owl that is like, hey, think about this. And then it's got the gorilla that's going to come out, right? So when the fight and flight that's going on, if we don't have a scaffolding, the things that are coming up are the barking dog. And when the dog barks, the gorilla comes and says, okay, let's fight or let's flight, right?
Yes.
So if we work on that scaffolding, the elephant will come in and say, okay, let's look at everything over here. Or is everybody looked after? Is everybody, that is quite important, is that looking at it in that empathetic piece, because everybody has something that we don't wake up in the morning and say, you know what, today I am going to make sure that I'm going to ruin everybody's life and my life. No, that is not what it is, right? Things happen and we look at the world with our lens. And when our lens is distorted, when we react, that's when we're not able to use that scaffolding piece. So I love what you've said right now, is that looking at the toolkits, looking at that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and really embracing those and thinking of that 90 seconds and looking at the damage that can be caused when we react.
Yes.
Of that 90 seconds that is so precious.
Yeah.
So,
what story am I telling myself?
exactly.
And do I just stop? And I think Almer just posted, is it honoring me? That is so powerful to ask that question.
Yes.
How am I showing up? Is it honoring me?
Yes.
Right? Is it honoring my family? Those are important questions. Those are important, insightful questions that we ask on a regular time frame during the day. Waking up every morning and saying, how do I want to show up today?
I love that. So what I'd like you to share right now is, how can people find out more about these workshops that you're having? In these days, we are parentpreneurs as well, and kids show up when we're working, and I have somebody who's going to peek in over here. It is alive. I remember alive, he stole the show by blowing bubbles and all of and he actually gave me a hug when he doesn't really give hugs these days. So I know we're running out of time. We've gone 3 minutes over, but I love that people are still staying on. Please share with us how we can access and find out more about these courses that are coming up.
Thank you for asking. So go on my website, www.mindful-changes.com. Contact me and I'll send you a link.
Okay, I'll put it up right now, www. In the description, mindful-changes.com. All right. And the next thing is, when are these sessions starting?
So the kids sessions start on Tuesday. So contact me before that, and they will be on Zoom. As soon as you contact me, I will send you a link and for the Zoom workshops. And we'll go from there. And they're on Tuesdays from 2 to 3 for 6 to 8-year-olds, and
Pacific Standard Time.
PST, Pacific Standard Time.
Yes.
And 3:15 to 4:15 for 9 to 11-year-olds.
Okay.
And we will do a mindfulness practice, a little bit of a talk about how the brain works, and then we'll do an art or craft activity that relates to the mindfulness practice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, I can't thank you enough. Can people reach out to you on Facebook as well? Are you okay?
Absolutely. Find me on Mindful Changes or and my name, Shaheen Najak.
Yes, awesome. So you explained things to me so simply that I feel ready to do this.
Oh, thank you, Robert. That's very kind of you. Very generous.
Yeah, Robert has been joining my live sessions, and it's been fantastic. Really appreciate this. The tools and the tips you've shared with us, these are priceless, and I can't thank you enough for what you've done for us, because I know that I will be using these, and I'll leave that website back again. Shaheen, have I got it right over here?
Yes, you do. Thank you.
It's my honor, and thank you everybody for joining.
Thank you.
So these are going great. It's a great resource for people, and if there's any tips you have of shows you would like to see, I can't express my gratitude enough. This is the first time I've ever done where I've scheduled and invited somebody in before to come in and deliver this for us. So just a big virtual.
And back at you.
There, I see you.
Back at you, yeah.
The more we see, the more, because that's what we focus on. So I'm going to show these messages that are popping up. Thank you so much, everybody, for staying 7 minutes over. And Shaheen, thank you once again for your time.
Thank you, Walner. I really appreciate it. With much gratitude, much gratitude to everybody who was there. Thank you.
We two are in the same room. That's right. I love it. Robert, I think it's also time for you to hop on one of these sessions one time. So, and Shaheen, if you ever want to come back and deliver a session, I would really love that. So,
absolutely.
Bless your heart. It was really, this was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Lovely to see you and answer questions from your guests. And hopefully I'll see you all again soon.
Perfect. And a big hug is I'm a hugger, so
yes.
Bless your heart.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for joining.
Bye.
Bye-bye.